My name is Susan Churchill, and I never started budgeting or even thought I could budget until I was in my 50s. And I realized that I could always tell where my money went after it was gone, but I never had direction as to where it needed to be. So I started on a budget and stuck to it, and it was like I was getting a raise, and it wasn't a problem to stay on it, but I never had to worry about if I was going to have the money for anything, because I planned and I put it aside, and I never bought anything if there wasn't money available. It seems overwhelming, to try to get on a budget. And a lot of people thought if I'm on a budget, that means I have to do without. And that's not it at all. If you want to spend $200 a week going out to restaurants and eating, as long as that's what you write down, $200 a week is what I'm going to spend, then you've already planned for that, and that's what you do because you have decided that's what you want to do and that's important to you. Had I started doing this probably in my 30s, things would have been a whole lot different. I'm sure, my house would be paid for by now. I could pay cash for a new car instead of a used car. There's a lot of things that I could travel more and I could give more, definitely, because I would have more. Well, I did change jobs and took a big pay cut, and then I got laid off when a branch of the bank I was working for closed. And thank goodness I knew how to do a budget, and I knew what was necessities and I knew what was luxury. And I was able to be on unemployment for about 15 months, but I continued to tithe on the unemployment. I took every part-time job that came along, and luckily I was able to cut back enough and get a little bit on the side that I didn't have to wipe out my savings. I still had the same amount in savings when I got a job as when I got laid off. A lot of times when we discuss tithing, because in the budget, that's like your income is the first line, and for me, the next line is my tithing. And the question has come up, is that net or gross or whatever? Well, the tithe to me is the easiest thing, because even if you're not an accountant or mathematician, you just take the dot and move it over one, and that's what it is. So that's easy math. It's 10% of gross. It's not after you pay insurance and after, because that's not what was given to you and what was earned. You earned gross. So when you give the tithe, that is showing my trust. It's like the widow's mite. She gave all that she had. It's about the heart. It's like I said before, it's not about the money. And then when you give the tithe, you can go over and above that with gifts because you've been blessed. The tithe being 10%, that's the meaning of tithe, and it's on gross, and it's easy when you see earnings to date to put a decimal point over one, and then you get your statement from Advent, and I usually line it up quarterly and say, am I on track? Because I might have missed a week. And to me, it's important to stay on track, because that's what I have committed in my heart that I'm going to give. I'm not worried about getting a letter from anybody say, hey, you pledged this and you have given this and you're behind. That means very little to me, because the commitment that I made was between me and God first. I put it out there so the church can make a budget. They need to know so they can decide how they're going to live on their budget, because they're on a budget as well. That's why it's important for me to tell them what I plan to give. I'm not paying any huge part of the church, I'm sure, but we all are in this together. And all of us together is what's going to help Christ Church to continue to flourish and bring other believers to Him. My name is Susan Churchill, and I have been totally blessed. And I think a lot of the reason I have been blessed is because I give and continue to give, no matter what.